Welcome to today's REI webinar, the Innovation 5 Project, Advancing Economic Development Through Entrepreneurship, STEM Promotion, and Fostering Innovation and Collaboration at Impression 5 Museum. My name is Jennifer Bruin, and I am the Project Coordinator for the MSU EDA University Center for Regional Economic Innovation, also known as the REI University Center. REI is supported by the U.S. Department of Commerce, Economic Development Administration, and the Michigan State Housing and Development Authority. It was established in the fall of 2011 to support the identification, creation, and development of innovative economic development strategies that may yield high-growth entrepreneurship and job creation in distressed regions of Michigan. Each year, the REI University Center selects and supports several innovative economic development projects. These projects are led by experts in the field or by faculty at Michigan universities or colleges, and they are supported through small mini-grants to offset any costs associated with completion of the initiatives and research. As of today, REI has supported 17 co-learning projects. Today, you will hear from Dr. Thomas Dietz and Dr. Katie Lacamare, along with several of their assistants. They will describe what the Innovation 5 project is, why it is important, and how this type of project might be a project to consider for your community or region. We will start with Katie, who has 15 years experience as a science educator and program director and is very active in both her teaching and director experience. Following Katie will be Tom, who has been active in K-12 education, informal education, and workforce development for his entire career. He has served as chair of the science department at Lansing Community College and as program manager for the NSF Regional Center for Nanotechnology Education, NanoLink. Thank you both for agreeing to present today. Hi Katie, hi Tom, and taking the time to share what you have learned in your co-learning experience. Okay.
Thanks, Jennifer. So as Jennifer said, today we're going to talk about or introduce an innovative approach to advancing economic development by encouraging entrepreneurship, innovation, collaboration, and science, technology, engineering, and math education by making advanced manufacturing tools available to the community and to students. So we are in the process of developing an advanced manufacturing facility that will be integrated with the Impression 5 Science Museum in Lansing. And we're calling this potential facility Innovation 5. So in this webinar, we want to discuss the revolutionary nature of advanced manufacturing tools and how utilizing these tools in both formal and informal STEM education can promote economic development. And we're going to share the lessons that we've learned in our development process so that hopefully we can encourage as well as help others to develop similar facilities in their community. So you've already learned a little bit about Tom and I. I also want to introduce our project assistants, which is the rest of our team. We have a number of students that have helped us with the development of this project. They're all students either at Michigan State University or Lansing Community College, and they're going to each be presenting a little piece of this puzzle because they've worked really hard in helping us develop this project. So they are Mark Halstead, Kelsey Morris, Melanie Mulette, Megan Podchlane, and Melody Theodoros. We also want to start by acknowledging our supporters. So the University Center for Regional Economic Development at Michigan State University has funded us through their co-learning program, and we're very grateful for that funding, which has come through them in part from the United States Department of Labor and the Economic Development Administration. We've also had support from Spartan Innovations and Lyman Briggs College at Michigan State University. They've also provided funding to help us pay for our project assistance. And so with that, I'm going to turn things over to Tom, who's going to further explain advanced manufacturing, STEM education, and Innovation 5, the concept.
Thank you, Katie. Hi, everybody. I just turned on the webcam partly because it's I'm in kind of a fun place right now. I'm in Amsterdam, Holland, or outside of Amsterdam, Holland, in the middle of a field with 3,000 other people who are interested in the maker movement, who have set up an amazing community-based camp-out maker fair, I guess you'd call it here, that is volunteer-supported, community-run, and remarkable both technical and social achievement. Just to give you some idea of the work they've done, this particular field now has more broadband capacity than the continent of Africa. So anyway, it's a great place. It's very inspiring to be here. I'm here because of what this project means to us here at Innovation 5. So what am I talking about? What is this big revolution? What is this next big thing? Well, I think the bottom line here is an idea that there's a new paradigm for education, a paradigm for manufacturing, a paradigm for economic development that involves a democratization of manufacturing. That is to say, putting real manufacturing capacity, design and manufacturing capacity in the hands of individuals and letting them take that capacity and run with it and develop, innovate and create new businesses, create new products, and have fun and inspire themselves as well. There's a very apt analogy here to the personal computer revolution of an earlier generation. At that time, back in the day, and you'll see in this Popular Electronics article from 1975, computers were just beginning to be available to individuals. The Altair 8800 being one of them. You could buy and build this computer. It did virtually nothing, but the act of buying, building, and having access to personal computing power was an incredible enabling technology that, of course, has led us to a world that is almost unrecognizable from the world of a generation ago. It stimulated tremendous employment, tremendous economic development, and whole new fields of education, and inspired many students to go forward and take careers in that burgeoning career field. Well, this new field, the advanced manufacturing, the personal manufacturing field, has, according to Scientific American, according to Forbes magazine, according to the Wall Street Journal, according to The Economist magazine, the potential to have the equivalent economic impact that we saw from the personal computer revolution. That's the magnitude of the issue we're dealing with. The opportunity we have here is that we can say, oh, wait a minute, suddenly we're on the ground floor of something that if we had known in 75, we would all have been computer people, right? Well, today, in 2012, this is an opportunity for us to bring a new generation online at the ground floor of a remarkable, important scientific and economic revolution for the next generation. So here's a couple of examples of what we're talking about, because what do we really mean by this? Well, Fab Labs is what we're talking about, and a Fab Lab is one term. Maker spaces are another term. There are many other terms that are used for these facilities, but they're generally places where individuals can come in, use computers to design and create objects of interest to them, whether for artistic reasons or practical reasons, and then have access to computerized equipment that can then take that design and turn it into a real product. Now, on the left, you'll see an example from the world of art. This is some students in a Fab Lab. They have designed on the computer this decorative vase, which has a complex structure. If you look at it closely, it's an amazingly complicated device. And that device that thing they're looking at, they never made. They designed it on a computer and sent it to this machine, which is called a three-dimensional or 3D printer. And this machine, literally using a meltable solid material, in this case a plastic, following the instructions from the computer, physically builds that object in front of your eyes. So you get the immediate feedback of going from design to product for testing purposes, for evaluation purposes, or aesthetic purposes. And this is an amazing enabling technology for students and workers who can come in and make a very rapid progress through the design, build, test paradigm needed to develop new products. Now, this is not just a hobby, not just an art phenomenon. The piece on the right is a working jet engine part. You'll notice the one in the back is the conventional part. It's manufactured using conventional machinery, which means it has to use simple forms, such as when we want to drill a hole, we can only drill a hole. We can make right angles. We can make parallel sides. Those are the only things we can do. That's how that part was manufactured. The part in front is the equivalent part with the same durability, the same strength, the same dimensions, but made by three-dimensional printing in metal. So that is a metal part made in the same way by 3D printing. It's just as effective, just as strong as the part we see in the back. One of the real advantages here, not only is it faster to design and test, but that particular part is 50% lighter than the part it replaces. In other words, that's a tremendous advantage to an aircraft manufacturer in reducing weight without compromising strength. Indeed, NASA recently test-fired a rocket engine where the nozzle of the rocket was manufactured by 3D printing. So this technology needs to get out into the world. It needs to get people inspired, because just as in the personal computer revolution, it's going to be individuals with brilliant ideas that are going to drive this economic development in the next generation. So here's an example of one effort to make that happen. This is the Wanger Fab Lab at the Chicago Museum of Science and Industry, where folks can come into the museum and then sign up for courses right inside the museum and try their hand at a variety of making and building projects using all kinds of tools. They have a whole suite of tools. This is only a small fraction of what's in there. But this is part of the inspiration for what Impression 5 wants to be. We want to be a community-based Fab Lab that's housed in an informal science education environment. We feel there are two reasons for that. One is that, as we'll see going forward, one is we think this is an aspirational thing for students. This is also a resource for the community. And putting it in a science museum puts it in front of a large number of people. Even Lansing, which has a moderately popular science museum, not one of the biggest in the country certainly, has over 130,000 visitors a year. We believe that's a very powerful thing, to be able to put this new technology in front of 130,000 people and see who's going to take it to the next level. So we've spent a lot of time thinking and talking and brainstorming about this concept, and we've learned a great deal, as you'll see today, about Fab Labs, about the equipment you need, about the educational objectives, about its economic impact. And I think that that's the take-home lesson here, is that it's possible to become, in a relatively short time, a pretty good mini-expert in this field, and be confident that you've got evidence out there that says that your idea makes sense, goes in a good direction, you can promote it, you can defend it when challenged, and that you've done the critical thinking necessary to make your project a success. So this is our mission statement. Innovation 5 inspires innovators and empowers entrepreneurs by providing families, students, and citizens access to state-of-the-art personal manufacturing tools. Katie.
All right, and so now we'll go through and talk a little bit about the actual implementation or the development of this project, and hopefully be able to provide some advice to those who are interested in pursuing this kind of thing themselves or following in our footsteps. So we started with the premise that we wanted this to be a community resource, and in particular a resource that would be available to the science education community. And so that, of course, led us really directly to a natural partnership with Impression 5. So we really see our idea, or this particular idea with a facility in Impression 5, as an on-ramp to innovation for the Lansing community. So as Tom had said, the museum already gets 130,000 visitors a year. They are all interested in science, and we can piggyback on that interest and piggyback on those people to help make connections between the citizens of Lansing, families in Lansing, students in Lansing, and the business and entrepreneurial community. So your need may be different than ours, or your interest may be different than ours. So really, if you're interested in getting started with something like this, you really do need to define your need. You know, where do you want this project to go, and what is the particular need in your community? So it's probably good to start with an environmental scan to see what is out there in your own community, and then answer for yourself a series of questions to help you define what that need is. So what is the need in your community? What kinds of groups are already doing something similar to what you're interested in? For instance, if you think that this might be a great way to enhance the science education in your own school district, you can look around and see what groups may be already interested in science education. You may find, of course, the school district and any associated groups with that school district. Your library may have programs having to do with science. There may be other people in your community that are interested in science education. As a group, you can look around to see what those groups are doing and define where exactly there is a need to improve on that. and work together as resources for each other, as collaborators, as cooperative members of a group, not as competitors. So it's in that cooperative nature that really you'll make the most gains. You're going to want to make sure that the group out there that you're trying to get to is willing to be engaged with you and help you solve that problem. And there's a number of different ways that you can get that ball rolling, do the networking, the social media, and those kinds of things. And later in the talk, one of our project assistants is actually going to tell you all the things that we've done to try to reach out the groups that we're interested in engaging with. So of course, assembling a team itself is really important component to this. We believe heavily in the team concept, that teams can bring together diverse skills, talents, knowledge, backgrounds, connections, and all of those kinds of things are really invaluable whenever you're trying to do a project. But of course, every team needs a leader, and you're going to have to look to one person who will be the engine of your project, or engine of your group. And this is particularly true, I think, for not-for-profit projects or non-for-profit organizations, that you really need someone who's the engine of that organization, and that can be your leader. For us, because we see real-world experiences as such an essential component to building an interest in STEM careers, we really wanted students, and students from all backgrounds, to be an essential component of our team in building the Innovation 5 concept. And so therefore it was important for us to really pull together a strong group and diverse group of students and ask them to really take the reins on the project. And that's what made us such a nice fit for the co-learning project at REI, because of that that component of our project. And so that's what we did. We assembled a team of students that helped us move this project forward. So then moving to our specific focus areas that we broke down into 6 areas: facility location, facility layout and equipment, marketing and communication, community support, education and business considerations. We had a team of interns, or our project assistants, that actually took each of these areas and built out the planning part of those specific places. So that's who you're going to hear from next. Melanie Mulette really worked hard on thinking about facility location and facility layout, and along with Mark Halstead worked with the facility layout and equipment in particular. Megan Podgelane worked really hard on our marketing and communication side of things, and Melody Theodora Curtis worked very hard on community support and actually working on some of our YouTube videos. And Kelsey Morris really built out the education component, and then we also looked at some business considerations that we'll talk to you about today. So with that, I'm going to pass things off to Melanie.
The location of facilities like this vary depending on what type of crowd you're looking to attract. We're starting our project in a shared space with Impression 5 Science Museum, which is a great venue for us because it already has a large crowd that regularly attends, and this helps with getting the interest out and spreading knowledge that we're starting up a place like Innovation 5. It also has a similar mission to us, and we think it's a great way to connect families with the interest in science and hands-on exhibits to move on to more advanced projects, possibly in Innovation 5. But there are many other examples of places, and we have a few here. Other locations that would work well would be a university, a community college, library, a community center, or a standalone. It all depends on what Katie was talking about, what needs you have, and what place you think your need would connect with the best. But if you do choose to do a shared space, the connection you make with that space is very important. The way we're going to connect Innovation 5 with Impression 5 is create family-friendly projects that mirror real-world projects and projects that more advanced inventors and entrepreneurs are working on, and making sure that the visibility between the two facilities stays really strong by having displayed finished projects, maybe some glass panel walls, possibly some kid-friendly exterior that is similar to the Impression 5 exhibits already, And we just want to create the connection between families and the more advanced people that do come to Innovation 5, because that's an important thing to make when you're considering facilities. The workshop is a key part of making this happen. We want to create a graded workshop, and when I say graded, I mean that there's availability for different opportunities that range from beginner projects with people who have never tried any of these skills to options for more advanced students and entrepreneurs. We'll have a front end that's safe for all visitors and a place where families can come to workshops. And then more in the back that's not visible as much and requires more training to use for the higher equipment. An example of how we would do this is with different circuit equipment that we would bring in. A beginner equipment we could bring in is Little Bit's Toolbox, which are snap-together magnets, and they create light, noises, and movement reactions. So this is an easy way to create interest in younger kids and even just people who have never worked with circuits before. And then once you learn that, you could move on to an intermediate step of working with the Arduino, which is an electronic prototyping platform. And it has an easy-to-use software that you can program commands on, but there's also like basic and advanced options within that. You can build it by hand, or you can pre-assemble it and order it that way. Then finally, our advanced equipment that we would bring in is a PCB engraver, where you can design your own circuit on a software, and the machine would print it onto the metal that you want. And this would be more for people who have worked with circuits before and have an idea in mind what they want to create, and part of our equipment that would require class and training. This setup is what we think would work best for us, with a way to create opportunities for all ages and skill levels. Another necessary room to have is a meeting room. So we have the opportunity to have a quieter space away from the workshop area. This space can serve as an idea or creative room if somebody wants to come brainstorm some ideas they want to work on for a project they're starting. Or it can be the end of a project by using it as a way to showcase something that they've just made and figuring out the way to present it best to move to the next step of showing people it. It's also going to serve as a meeting place for Innovation 5 planning. And now Mark will tell you about some of the equipment that we are going to have in the layout.
Thank you. The ideal layout would be for the facility to be subdivided into sections according to purpose. Using MakerWorks from Ann Arbor, Michigan as an example, their facility is divided into 4 categories: metal fabrication, woodworking, crafts, and circuits. Their facility is filled with cutting-edge, state-of-the-art equipment. Much of it is computer-controlled. Though each section has a complete tool setup for fabrication of various projects in each area, the most used pieces of equipment will be highlighted. The most important pieces of equipment in the shop are for personal safety. Proper eye protection, hearing protection, hand protection, and respiratory protection for each area are a must. Training on equipment is required before it can be used, and each piece of equipment must have instructional booklets containing standard operating procedures at its station. In the metal fabrication area, the most popular piece of equipment is a computer numeric control, or CNC, plasma cutter. Points are inputted into the computer either with a plot coordinates or a digitizer. Then that information is fed to the plasma cutter to cut the design from steel or metal sheet stock of various thickness. Though the plasma cutter is capable of intricate designs, it is only capable of producing two-dimensional products without specialty attachments. The results can be used for custom fabrication of special equipment or, in this example, artwork. Once the file is saved in the system, it can be duplicated precisely an unlimited number of times. In the woodworking shop, a CNC router table is one of the most popular pieces of equipment. Unlike the CNC plasma cutter, the CNC router table is capable of creating intricate three-dimensional products with wood or other soft materials like plastic from computer-aided designs. The projects from CNC plasma cutters can be used as architectural details, signage, furniture parts, and artwork, just to name a few. The example shown is a decorative panel for cabinetry. In the craft area is one of the most innovative pieces of equipment, the three-dimensional printer. Working similar to a traditional printer, it creates objects by taking data from a 3D blueprint and laying down successive layers of polymer until the desired shape is formed. As technology evolves, the polymer layers become thinner and thinner, and the resolution or smoothness of the 3D printed objects are becoming greater and greater. The use of the 3D printer is limited to the size capacity of the available printer and the imagination. This technology is used for both prototyping and distributed manufacturing. The lightweight rocket parts pictured previously, compact splints for medical procedures, shoes, and prosthetics are just a few practical applications of the 3D printing. The example shown is an intricate guitar body created by a 3D printer. In the circuit shop, the CNC circuit board engraver is used extensively for creating complex electronics. These circuit boards can be used in any type of custom electronics, from animated light arrays to robotics to computers. Shown are some examples of engraved circuit boards ready for diodes, anodes, capacitors, resistors, and other electronics components to be installed. The take-home message here is existing Fab Labs have been very eager to help and advise us. MakerWorks in Ann Arbor was very, very helpful in showing me an example of the layout and compiling an equipment list for a Fab Lab. Take advantage of help from these pioneers. Community and cooperation is part of the Fab Lab culture. And now we will pass off to Megan.
Hi everybody, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about the communications and marketing procedures in which we've been taking to try and get the community involved. So as you guys know, in order to get a business up and running, it's important to get the community involved and interested. Therefore, we've embraced several social media platforms to spread the word about i5. One of the main social media tools we've begun to utilize is Facebook. Well over 1 billion users have profiles worldwide. This makes it a prime method of gaining people's attention in an inexpensive way. It also allows for interactivity with the public so that they can pay attention to the posts that they want to see and not just a generic sales pitch. We can also receive feedback in this way by seeing which posts get more likes and shares, as well as posting surveys and events that the public can participate in. We post several links to the Facebook page that relate to STEM products that i5 could be capable of recreating, and other related technological or educational posts that encourage innovation and thinking outside the box. These posts relate to several topics from circuitry and robotics to 3D printing and its medical, technological, or artistic contributions. Basically all of the things that Mark was just talking about, a lot of those tools and such. We also post a lot about Innovation 5, as well as having our mission and explanation of our organization posted on the About page. Events that we will be attending, such as the Maker Fair in Dearborn and Be a Tourist in your own town in Lansing, are also listed so that community members can keep an eye out for our team to interact with us, as well as seeing fun or interesting events that they may be able to attend. This allows the community to gain a more personal familiarity with our team. We currently have 28 likes. Twitter is another important platform that has helped us to gain recognition throughout the community. By following the profiles of individuals within the Lansing area or technological and educational scenes, we are able to promote the i5 name and encourage curiosity. It also gives us the ability to network and build a sense of community with people and organizations that have similar or compatible missions to ours. We currently have 38 followers. YouTube is another tool that we've been using to promote i5, as Katie briefly mentioned earlier. We currently have 2 videos posted. One video gives an introduction of Innovation 5 and its purpose and objectives, and another video discusses Innovation 5's STEM agenda and how it will benefit the Lansing community. In total, we have about 25 views of these videos. We also strongly believe that a personal approach is beneficial in creating a solid foundation for a company. At the Be a Tourist in Your Own Town event, we conducted a survey of nearly 150 people. We asked visitors of Impression 5 several questions relating to their history with Impression 5 and their interest in Innovation 5. We learned quite a bit about our target audience and their interests in this way. As you guys can see, we took part of our survey was what areas people were coming in from. Most of the people came from the major Lansing area. We did have a few people who came in from outside, usually visiting family and just around the time of the event. We also asked how many people would be interested in developing, prototyping products and, embracing the entire concept of Innovation 5. And we definitely had an outstanding percentage of those people say yes. As for the people that did say no, they usually had a pretty legitimate excuse in terms of, we had one family that came in from Maryland. Obviously, it would be tough for them to come into Lansing regularly and, work with a CNC router. But other than that, it was definitely positive results. We also asked what kind of topics the kids would be interested in, and as you guys can see, they seem to have a wide range of being interested in everything. For the most part, a lot of kids selected all of the options that we had available, so definitely a wide range on there. We also had a sign-up sheet that allowed interested visitors to receive news and updates about the Innovation 5 startup. We ended up gathering 130 email addresses to be added to our contact list. To date, we have yet to have anyone opt out of these emails. Our team of student interns also helps to form a liaison to many groups and organizations within the community. We aim to spread the word on an organization that we all helped to develop. As a result, we are all quite passionate about taking I-5 to the next step. I'm now going to pass it on to Kelsey so that she can talk about the educational side of I-5.
Hi, my name's Kelsey. I will be talking about STEM education. Innovation 5 was inspired by the necessity to inspire, engage, and retain students in the STEM career pathways. Developing educational connections and programming is one of our key objectives for Innovation 5. Developing high-quality educational programming is a key objective. The Center for the Advancement of Science Education, or CASE, at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago is an excellent model of educational programming. Local or regional science museums can also provide excellent models for integrating informal science educational programming with the local formal school curriculum. CASE is a good model because their organizational mission is to empower teachers with informal educational programs, to excite students with hands-on labs and opportunities for growth outside of the classroom, and to act as a prominent and engaging educational partner in the community. Innovation 5 will provide not only educational programming opportunities for, but it will also provide training for teachers, which we discovered was necessary during teacher interviews and surveys in the Lansing community. CASE provides multi-level programming with each level aimed at a different set of grade levels. For instance, they have learning labs for elementary students, science minor programs for middle school students, and science achievers for upper level students. They also have science clubs and programs for groups like Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. We would like to offer similar educational programming as well as field trips, camps, and after-school programs. Providing professional development opportunities for science teachers will also be an important component of any educational programming. CASE provides a good model for teacher training, offering professional development courses, day-long workshops, field trip previews, and summer courses. All courses give teachers opportunities to earn continuing education credit and provide them with classroom activities that align with statewide curriculum standards. Any teacher training should embed within its learning objectives explicit alignment with State of Michigan grade level content expectations, or GLICs, which moves us right along to the educational assessment piece. As mentioned previously, CASE's curriculums, the model program, are aligned with local standards. We highly recommend that programming aligns with local curriculum standards so that school districts and teachers can justify utilizing resources and time to attend programs. Currently, in Michigan, all curriculum should be aligned with the grade level content expectations. So in addition, it is necessary to assess informal education against established educational objectives and will help adjust programming, develop new programming, and acquire additional funding. Partnering with local university faculty can help ensure best assessment practices.
Okay, so I'll take a few minutes to talk a little bit about some of the more practical side of things, some of the business considerations that you may want to take into account, and just do quick couple little overview about the kinds of things you can do for fundraising. So you're definitely going to want a business plan because it will, you can use that business plan to articulate your startup costs, operational costs, where you might need and get streams of revenue, and then also that will help you make your fundraising case when it comes to that time. So startup costs actually range, have a wide range. They can be as low as $1,000 if you want to just get your foot in the door with a 3D printer and get started that way. Your startup cost can be as low as $1,000. Or, you know, if you're really looking into a full-blown facility, it could cost as much as $100,000. And then operational costs are, of course, going to vary widely also. If you're looking at just getting a 3D printer, setting up a really small facility in, say, a community center or a library, or even that might be associated with a school, you'd have very low operational costs. But if you're looking at a full-blown facility, most of your operational costs are going to come in the frame of personnel costs, so someone that can actually look after the facility and keep things running and keep things moving along. There are a number of ways that you can actually generate revenue for a facility like this. One is through membership, where people that are interested in using the lab or the equipment can pay a membership fee. It might be a monthly membership, it might be a yearly membership, and then they can come repeatedly to the facility, and you can generate revenue that way. Another way is through admission, similar to the way science museums operate right now. When you go to Impression 5 Science Museum, you pay your $5 or $10 or whatever it is to get in, and it's sort of like a one-time fee for that particular visit to the museum. And so you can do that with these type of facilities too. Another way that you can generate a stream of revenue is through what are called make and take projects. So for instance, if you wanted to develop a particular project, have students make something, or community members make something, or kids even, then they can come in and design it, try it out, try their design, make the design and fiddle around with it, and then eventually what they're going to do is take home their finished product, and then there's a fee associated with that. And then finally, courses and workshops, both courses for community members, for teachers, for students, for all of those kinds of things can also be a source of revenue. So our big take-home message in terms of business considerations is that we really learned that after extensive discussions with many facilities that there's not really sort of like a one-stop startup guide or a particular process to follow, that you kind of have to figure out what your need is, where you want to go, and then really just go for it. So it's sort of frustrating that you can't follow like a how-to guide, but it's also liberating because you can really focus on what you think the need is in your community and just go for that. And so for funding, there's a number of different sources that you can go to for fundraising. Federal and state government grants are an option for this kind of thing. Private foundations are interested in these kinds of facilities. Individual donors and social investors are also an opportunity. So for instance, if maybe you are a community center or a library and you're interested in starting a really small facility, there may be business people in your community that really see the need for this kind of on-ramp to these kinds of tools and getting students interested in it, and so they may be willing to fund something like this. Another option is something that's called crowdsourcing or crowdfunding, and crowdsourcing and crowdfunding is largely an internet phenomenon, so there are websites. A very popular one is something called Kickstarter. And you can put your project on Kickstarter with a description of the project, a description of what your needs are, a description of what you're planning to use the money for, and it really sort of throws your project out there into the the web, basically. And people that are looking to make investments in social projects or donate to projects that they feel very strongly about, they go onto these websites and actually just donate directly to you, and so you can raise money through these kinds of things. Our big take-home message for fundraising is that we know that the funding can really be the daunting part of it, right? That's the hard part to sort of embrace. And there's really two models you can follow. You can follow a model to go really big. So for instance, if you're a school district and you want to try to really develop a full-blown facility that you kind of have all the pieces put together at one time, you can start by seeking a really significant grant or donation and doing it that way. Or you can start on a shoestring and grow over time. So start with a couple $1,000s, get that initial donation to get your project going, maybe to get one piece of equipment, develop some programs around that, and then move on to the next piece of the project that you want to work on. So you just have to be creative and flexible, but it'll come if you work on it. All right, so I just want to talk a little bit more about our big picture before I go into some of the specific conclusions of our talk. We really feel that the hands-on science museums and facilities of this type are really integral components to the community, and that they really enhance and improve STEM education. And it's widely known that STEM education can really empower, promote, and develop community innovators and entrepreneurs. And then the next step really is that these innovators and entrepreneurs are themselves the engines to community and economic development. So each of these pieces of this puzzle, or each of these cogs in the wheel, are really intricately linked, and we're really trying to embrace that and letting Innovation 5 be kind of an on-ramp to these other things. So in conclusion, we have several specific conclusions. That it's really well recognized that there's a social need to engage more young people in STEM careers, and that that this is especially true for those people from underserved communities or underserved populations, because these are such good jobs if you can get into them. And the rapid prototyping Fab Lab movement is really a rapidly growing branch of STEM and has a tremendous potential to inspire young people and to teach meaningful and technical interpersonal skills and really provide that opportunity to get on the cutting edge of this new technological revolution. And as part of that, really authentic experiences that involve real-world projects and real engagement with others is really essential for inspiring that interest in STEM education. And that's true for a lot of disciplines, but it seems to be especially true for the STEM career fields. And economic development potential of this rapid prototyping Fab Lab movement is significant, and really can be an additional driver for the establishment of facilities like this. There are resources out there and assistance available for people willing to pursue a facility like this, and that the model we have developed, we feel, really has potential to be replicated in similar institutions or other kinds of institutions, not only in the region here in Michigan, but in the country and maybe even the world. With that, we'll take any questions.
Yeah, if you'd like to put a question in, there's a chat box on the screen. You should have that available. You can add your question to the chat, and we'll try and respond.
Looks like we have 7 attendees. This is Jennifer again, and hopefully we have some questions or some comments. I don't know if any of you are considering this type of project in your community or with your organization. Well, I have a couple of comments. They're more of just observations that I have made with just watching my 12-year-old kind of interact with the world and taking what he learns in school and applying it elsewhere. The other morning, he wakes me up and says, Mom, we have to get on the Sunday morning show on TV because they're talking about 3D printing. Can you believe this? 3D printing. So he begins to tell me about all these ideas that he has. He's been playing with his plastic green army men, which I know at 12, I'm not sure that's okay, but he's still doing it. And he wants to design something different. You know, he wants to, like, futuristic army men to go with his traditional old-style army men. And so he's fascinated with this 3D printing. And so we're quickly trying to get to the TV, and of course I've got several channels that are locked, so we have to unlock some channels, and we finally got there, and he's in his pajamas just sitting there listening to Sunday morning. I mean, he would never have gone to Sunday morning show to watch anything, but because it was about this subject, it really intrigued him. And he's had a couple of conversations with his grandfather since then about, you know, the possibilities of this new technology and what he could do with it. So I'm really looking forward to bringing him to the Innovation 5 and letting him go to town and explore, have a good time. You know, I do have a question, actually. Tom or Katie, have you talked to the Hands-On Museum in Ann Arbor? And maybe I missed that in your presentation, but I don't think I heard anything. But are they considering something like this as well?
I can't speak to that. I have not. We haven't met with them yet. No, I have had brief conversations with one of their members of their board, and they did not indicate that they were going that direction right now.
Okay.
But on the other hand, you just never know. There are things popping up all over the place. There's a group, as you know, because you're part of that as well, in East Lansing. East Lansing Public Library System is considering getting into this business as well, and so it's part of the game right now, and part of our efforts are actually involved with trying to bring all these groups together. We did find one of the needs we discovered in this planning process was that there were a lot of groups around here that simply didn't know that there were other groups in the area either doing related things or willing or interested in supporting this kind of activity. And so we're actually working with Prima Civitas, which is a local non-governmental agency that promotes economic development, and LEAP, our Lansing Economic Development Organization, to create an organization of these groups so that we can get together and talk and make sure we're all collaborating in the right way. So that's another big piece of this puzzle, is finding out what the community needs are and what the community resources are.
Sure. So glad to hear about this project. I've had a patent for years, but needed injection molding and too costly. This way I can start small. Thanks for presentation.
Oh, thank you for watching.
Yeah, cool.
That's a great point. Let me make another anecdotal observation along those lines. I can't tell you the number of people who, in describing this project to people, to have just said, oh, I've had this thing I've wanted to make. I've had this idea I wanted to explore. This will be great. Now there's a place for me to go and do this. And that reaction is a remarkably universal reaction. So I really do feel that she's absolutely right, that this is that opportunity, and she is not alone. And that's part of the excitement of this, is finding out, for example, at a place like this with 3,000 hackers and makers getting together, that there are a whole lot of people who are very excited about this technology.
Yeah, I would actually add another example to that I just learned about this weekend. So I have a friend who actually is a chemist, and he has been working a lot lately in the medical field, and he wants to try to build basically scaffolding for bone from 3D printing, which he thinks is sort of like going to be revolutionary in the medical field now, where you can basically, like if you need prosthetics or reconstructive surgery of any kind, that will come from 3D printing, that it'll all be personalized. So for instance, if you need to have a piece of your jaw replaced, that you start with a scaffold that would be 3D printed, and then it would be, bone would grow around that sort of back in the original patient. And so he's like all excited about this and thinking of taking his business in that direction. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I did hear about a replacement ear being made.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, the FDA just in February approved the first 3D printed prosthetic piece, which is now available on the market, and it's what they can do is they can precisely replicate a section of your skull, so that when they have to remove a section because of injury or because of surgery, they can then build an exact duplicate of that section and put it precisely back in place. And the shape of your head and the fit is absolutely perfect.
Well, I think then this is it. We did record this webinar, and we will have a link to it that we'll send to the participants once it's been edited and transcribed. You should receive the link in an email message to the email address that you registered for the webinar for. It may take a week or so to do the editing and transcribing. Thank you very much for a great presentation, everybody.
Thank you. I want to add one thing which we did not say explicitly. We should have said, and just for the folks who are calling in. Our website, innovation5.org, innovation5.org. Yeah. You can go there, find out a lot of stuff, and there's a link on there if you want to hook up with our mailing lists. And of course, we're on Facebook and YouTube and all those other places too. So innovation5.org, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Please visit us. Please sign up. We'd be glad to send you monthly email updates and let you know how things are going.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, and reicenter.org is the REI University Center's website, all one word, and that's where you'll also find all of our webinars. I would like to let you know that tomorrow we are hosting another webinar. That's August 1st, tomorrow, Thursday, from 10 to 11 a.m., and it's entitled Educational Attainment as an Economic Driver for States, Regions, and Communities, and that's with presenters Larry Good and Janine LaPrade from the Corporation for a Skilled Workforce. And their research is building on national educational attainment and economic growth, and offers an analysis of Michigan efforts to promote investments in education and training. So I encourage you to participate in tomorrow's webinar. And we have a few others coming up in late August, so stay tuned. And if you join the REI network, you'll get the listserv messages and the announcements, or through social media. So thank you again, Tom, Katie, Melanie, Megan, Mark, Kelsey. I think I got everybody. This is the largest number of presenters I think we've had on a webinar. But it was very, very well done. Thank you for all the information.
All right, thank you.